Welcome to Talk Mental Health with Logan Noon, special episode Corona. This is the first group virtual social distancing episode I've done, so thank you guys for participating. And what we're going to do is we have one person from each class level at Pacific Northwest University, and we're going to talk about how this crazy pandemic has impacted all of us. And so I think the best way to get started is we congratulate Kat. Boom, fourth year for matching.
Thank
Congratulations.
you. Congrats.
Yeah. So Kat is a fourth year, and Kat, can you kind of just tell us how the last month of your life has been?
Yeah, it's been odd. I mean, I've pretty much done with med school, except we still have a couple online courses, a couple weeks of that. But it's like this all boils down to this big match day and this and that. But for us this year, it's kind of just been open an email and then post on Facebook, and that's the celebration. So I don't know, it doesn't feel like it's a whole lot different necessarily.
Can you explain to the listener who doesn't really know what match day is and what match day normally looks like? Absolutely.
So, traditionally match day is this, so, when you're in your fourth year, after you've applied to all these residencies, interviewed, all this stuff, you submit your rank list, and then you wait to see where you're going to end up, because you've ranked these places and they've hopefully ranked you on how badly they want you to go there. And you basically get this email on a Monday saying whether you've matched or not, because it's basically saying you have a job for the next X amount of years, and you're going to go in on residency. So that's a big relief for a lot of people, just knowing whether they matched or not. And then later on in that week, on Friday, you get an email and it tells you exactly where. And if you've applied for multiple different specialties or something, it'll tell you that too. But usually in med school, they have this big celebration. A lot of times schools will have the senior students basically get up on stage and open their envelope, and that envelope is the first notification to them where they're going to go. So it's just this big surprise. People are, tears are flowing, confetti, all this stuff. But for us, it wasn't quite the case. It was we're all separated, and our graduation got canceled and all of that. So all for the safety of others, but it doesn't feel like the celebration that you anticipate you'll be having.
Yeah, certainly. So if I was in your shoes, I would probably feel pretty pissed and just strange, I guess. So I guess, how has this made you feel?
Yeah, multiple things. On one part of me, I was like, well, I guess that, I don't have to, it's stupid, but get tickets and decide who's going, because we only have a limited number of seats, who's going to be there and this and that. But, as it kind of sank in, I was kind of more, it just feels a little, I don't know, it just doesn't feel like I'm done, or this isn't the big moment that everyone pumps it up to be, because it just is kind of downplayed by this huge pandemic that's going on. That's kind of what's on everyone's minds, not only the general public's, but also graduating seniors. So it's just kind of I guess the bigger news in the media. But I think overall I was more disappointed by the fact that I wouldn't be able to celebrate with my friends, and my family wouldn't get the kind of official graduation ceremony, because I think that was important to them, seeing me get hooded and then taking pictures and this and that. But I'm sure a lot of people were pretty disappointed by it.
Yeah, it's certainly very strange. I've been looking forward to graduation forever now, and to think that you don't have one is pretty lame. So I'm sorry that you won't get to have that moment for you and your family and everything.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, as long as we don't get sick and stuff, I guess it's all good.
Yeah. And so your match, or you did match into general surgery,
Mm-hmm.
and have they
Mm-hmm.
talked anything about like moving your start date up because of any of this madness?
So my specific place is not. And the only, they said that in like Italy, they're having med students come in and all this, and they're kind of recruiting further down the line to try and get more hands in there. But so far, I've not heard of that happening in the U.S. I think there was talk of it maybe in New York, where they're going to be getting hit pretty hard. That basically the new PGY1s, the new interns, new residents, you can say, that they might be recruited, or it'll be like on a voluntary basis, basically. So I think you don't have to, but if you want to start early, you can. And whether that'll happen nationwide, I'm not quite sure. But as far as my place goes, I'll be in Chicago, and they haven't talked about that at all.
Chicago. So is all day right now spending you looking up like apartments and stuff in Chicago, at least? Something fun?
It was pretty great, but a lot of leases don't start for like 60 days out, so I have to cool my jets because I'm just getting excited about places that probably won't be available.
Yeah, true. Good point. Good point.
But yeah, just trying to get things squared away and prepare for my fiance's next year, because he's in the same class as you guys. So
Oh yeah, you also got engaged this year. No big fucking deal.
yeah, yeah.
So
To
do
one
the
of your
rest of
besties.
so do the rest of you have any questions for Kat? Radio silence. All right. So
Crickets.
third year, oh, we lost somebody. Alan will hop back on. So third year, Maycee is in third year with me, and it's been very strange because third year we're traditionally on our rotations, essentially being little minions for doctors running around. So Maycee, can you tell us how coronavirus has impacted our level of education right now?
Yeah. So I guess like for our school in general, like different people in different sites have had a slightly different experience. Where we're at in Yakima, the hospital itself closed rotations to students a couple weeks ago. So that kind of left most of us in Yakima without a rotation. There were a few other clinics and things in town that kept students on. But we were kind of without anywhere to go. Other sites throughout Washington and in the other states, I think their preceptors and locations were allowing them to be there as long as the school was okay with it. But then they started realizing like this was ramping up and there wasn't going to be enough PPE, so the personal
Which is
protective
what?
equipment,
Okay, yeah. Thank you.
like the masks and the gowns and the gloves and all that stuff to protect healthcare workers. There wasn't going to be enough for students to also have that. And so I think some students got a little nervous that they were supposed to be on rotation, but they weren't being given masks and gowns and things to protect them. And so it kind of just became an issue. The governing bodies for both MDs and DO med schools came out and said, look, we think you should pull all med students for at least 2 weeks and just kind of see how this shakes out. And our school was not on board with that at first. They were like, well, let's just, if you can be helpful, go and be helpful. If they want you there, go be there. And then finally they were like, oh, wait, no, let's just pull everyone for 2 weeks. So I was doing radiology at the time, so it was remote anyway, except for me and one other student. And so we were just meeting in a big room on campus where we could be further apart, and then everyone else was on Zoom. So I didn't go through that whole thing where I felt like I was being put in an unsafe situation. So it didn't set me back or anything. But then once that ended, I had nowhere to go. So our school set up online rotations, which I think is not what a lot of medical schools are doing. I'm kind of grateful because they're trying not to set us back for graduation requirements. So they set up various online rotations, essentially, where we'll meet. My class does 2 hours of Zoom every day. And then we have an assignment, and then we do like case logs. So things that we would normally see on a rotation, we just read about them and log that we've read about them, essentially. Aside from that, I've just been like board studying more than I probably would have been. And yeah, I guess that's kind of.
So I'm actually in the same online class as Maycee. We're learning about babies and woman parts right now. It's I quite frankly hate it. I am really bored. I was still on clinical rotations right at the start of coronavirus, and it was kind of a weird scenario. They were like, okay, to preserve protective equipment, Logan, we're not going to have you go in with any patient, that has a fever or a cough, kind of the traditional symptoms of coronavirus. But it turned out like I ended up going in a couple rooms with suspected positives. And so I had to self-quarantine for a couple weeks, and they ended up being negative. So it was all good. But it was just very, very weird. And then I ended up getting kicked off rotations and doing the online education right now. And I am very thankful that our school is, like Maycee said, not setting us back, but it's bringing me back to what dedicated study time was. And we'll have Alan talk about that in a second, right before boards, which I was, just super depressed. I hated that period of my life, and I like being around people. So I'm very much struggling right now. And the one thing that's getting me through is Call of Duty Warzone, baby. I highly suggest you all download it. PC, PlayStation, and Xbox. It's for free. And the greatest thing is I've been talking to people more through Call of Duty than I ever did through text message, than I ever did through social distancing. I don't know if that says anything about my friendships, but it's at least allowing me to talk to other people, back from the East Coast or just kind of all over. And it feels like I'm at least still socializing with people, even though it's just me and my dog while I scream at the TV and like throw grenades and stuff. So I'm actually
Wait, Logan.
Go ahead.
Were you a big Call of Duty guy before this all happened?
No, not at all. No, I was a NBA 2K, which is basketball, of course. But
let's go.
Yeah, dude. Call of Duty brings people together. It is a healthy thing right now, given coronavirus. So I, as a soon-to-be psychiatrist, am advocating all of you download Call of Duty.
Hashtag sponsored.
Prescribing. Yeah.
I'm just pissed that the download takes like 80 gigabytes, and now like my Xbox won't even hold it. So I've been playing 2K.
No, dude, you got to download it. You got to come on. You got to delete the porn off your Xbox. You'll be fine.
I already did that, and I even cleared a couple of games off there. So I'm just trying to figure it out, man.
I guess I should say that Call of Duty paid me to say that. But I'm just kidding. But seriously, everyone should download it. But outside of Call of Duty, I'm super bored and depressed, and like I don't know what to do. I was telling my wife about this. Like, so I live with, you guys of course know, bipolar disorder. And when I'm really depressed, one of my like symptoms of my depression is social isolation, and like I lock myself up and I don't talk to anybody and I just get down. So now it almost feels like I have this symptom of depression in my life that's forced on me, but I am not necessarily depressed, but it's making me depressed because I have that symptom forced on me, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I get that.
Yeah, it's kind of like don't get up and do productive things all day because you're stuck inside, and I'm sure it's like super easy to fall into dark times for a lot of people. That's a really good point. Like, all over the place.
Yeah, for sure.
So that's been at least my experience these last 3 weeks or so. So why don't Alan, I kind of was talking about dedicated study time, and I guess now this is like the start of your dedicated study time. So why don't you tell us about like how this is impacting your experience, if his internet's working?
Yeah. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So we have our first board exam, step one's coming up probably sometime this summer if those don't get canceled. But basically we've been looking forward to having more time to study for boards for a while now. So having classes online and canceled is kind of like what we've been hoping for. Obviously, we didn't want it in this situation.
Go coronavirus.
But yeah,
positive.
No one wanted this, but it is nice. I mean, there's like subjects that our school doesn't cover that are high yield on the boards, as well as some of the other outside resources. And I'm just saying this based on what I'm getting practice questions on. But it's nice to have that time to like do more question blocks and then actually make flashcards for the questions I'm getting wrong, so I'm not missing the same questions over and over again. And you know, before it was like school was priority, but then board setting was on top of that, and now it kind of feels like that's reversed. So that's a nice thing for me at least.
Yeah. And I hope so, just so the listeners understand, dedicated study time is like you basically do nothing except for prep for the big board exam. And the board exam is kind of like the $1 million test, or even more than that. It's essentially, if you do well on that test, you can really set yourself up to do any residency you want. And if you don't do that great, it's just going to make things maybe a little bit more challenging for you moving forward. So it's probably the most important test that you'll ever take in your life as a med student.
And then for me, I'm also very social, like you, Logan. So having to be socially quarantined is also helpful for my board studying, because if I wasn't required to be off by myself, I might want to do a lot more social things. So it's kind of another bright spot in all of this weird situation.
Well, and thankfully you got your fiance locked up with you, right? And because she's a student as well.
Yes. Yeah, it does help to have to be quarantined with someone else. You know, I don't know what it would be like to be alone, but I would be struggling with that. So yeah, I'm grateful for Sarah.
Well, I think I can kind of speak also for Maycee and Kat. You know, our classes didn't have as much dedicated study time as like you are having right now. And we always complained about that to the administration, and it was just really challenging. So I absolutely hope that your class murders the boards, and maybe our administration will take notice and give this amount of dedicated study time like other medical schools do.
Amen.
Yeah.
Yeah, seriously, I had the same thought.
Board studying might be changing. It might be changing to like not to pass fail, not ranked.
Yeah, step one.
That is true. Good point.
So Logan,
doing
you and
well
Maycee,
on step one
step
may
two.
not be.
That's after my class, though, right?
Yeah, I think it's during your class or
Yeah,
after.
Jordan, you'll be. Yeah.
I think we're the last one to take the
Jordan, you could
normal step one.
You could delay when you take step one, so you could technically have a pass-fail step one score, because you don't have to, because that's the MD version of our COMLEX. COMLEX isn't changing, but the step one is, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I was just wondering how that would look with like our COMLEX scores, and then them having nothing to base that off of other than like our school rankings, I guess. I guess I don't know what they're going to look at when it's just pass fail.
Yeah. Who knows? That's another podcast episode. We could go down a rabbit hole there. Well, all right. So Jordan, you know, you're the first year here. So what about you? Tell us about how this has kind of impacted your level of education right now.
So I'm a classroom guy. I like going to class. So me watching Panoptos has been the biggest struggle. Not gonna lie, the first day I put them on, I fell asleep twice during a lecture. Like I can't sit at home and have a computer up. And so I know like first year it's kind of more of a focus on classroom stuff more than boards, but at this point it's kind of like using outside resources and kind of just more focused on boards, because all our tests are now pass fail. Or not even pass fail. As long as you participate, like as long as you don't put C for every answer, you get 100%.
Damn.
Yeah. So it's like there's literally, I mean, there's a point because like it's for our patients and for our tests and everything, but like at the same time, I'm not staying up till 3 a.m. every night, or I'm not stressed out about the test the next day because it really doesn't matter. Which I guess is nice in a way, but it's just like, I don't know, it's hard to find a balance because, I mean, we just got through our first semester, so you're starting to get your foot on the ground there and figure things out, and now it's just all up in the air again.
Yeah. I was actually thinking about this earlier. Like, I felt the spring semester of first year is where I kind of finally started to figure out, like, how to study for medical school, but also more importantly, I kind of really, like, cemented who my friends were, like, who my closest allies kind of were at the school. And so I think it's tough that you're not able to be there. What do you guys think?
I was just thinking the same thing. Like, I was talking to my husband, and I'm like, second semester of first year, I feel like is when I kind of found my people. And I felt like I knew how to study a little bit better. It was just like a happy time because I had like good friends. I kind of felt like I knew what I was doing. And then I knew coming in a second year with board setting looming, like that was something I could worry about in the future. And I could just kind of enjoy that time. So I do feel bad for you guys in first year right now, that you're missing out on that.
Yeah, I mean, especially like at the beginning of the year, like medical school is isolating, and now it's just like definitely locked that in a little bit more. Luckily, I live with 2 other first years, so we have each other, and that's been nice. But I know like some of my buddies that either did the MAMS program, so like the program associated with our school and everything. I have a lot of good friends there, but they're living in 1-bedroom apartments and stuff. So I know they're struggling, but yeah, we play the video games as well. We actually started playing League of Legends again, which is the nerdiest computer game in the world.
Yeah.
But like literally, they're like, you just run out of time in the day. Like I was telling Logan earlier, like we killed Tiger King in one day. It was a great show. Recommend to everyone. People ask if it's good. I say it's more of entertaining than anything. So, but yeah, it's definitely weird, especially if you're a classroom learner. It's like we watch Panoptos, and one, if like I find it dumb that if a professor made a mistake or something, or like there was an issue with the recording, that they don't re-record it, and so we just have like these strange things going on during the recordings. I don't know. It's different.
Yeah. Well, okay, we have now 4 minutes left before my free version of Zoom kicks us off. So I think that's a good way. 4 minutes left is our goal. So I said my biggest suggestion for this was everyone needs to download Call of Duty to get through coronavirus, self-quarantine. Can each of you give a short suggestion of what you have learned has helped you and might help out somebody else during this time?
Mm-hmm. Sure, I'll start. I would say, I've been FaceTiming family and friends that I haven't seen or talked to in a long time. So that's really important and has helped me get through, and as well as them, I think. So FaceTiming your loved ones or calling them on the phone. And then, focusing on positive things in your life. Like I've been trying to cook healthy or get into gardening or, just pick up hobbies that are conducive to being calm in stressful times, and sleep as much as you can.
Let's go.
Because I've been doing a lot of that.
For me, I've been exercising a lot, trying to get outside on nice days, also doing FaceTime, and then I discovered that House Party app, and that's kind of fun, a way to kind of FaceTime and play games with people. If you don't know about that, you should check out the House Party app. And then like cooking and baking, I've been doing that, and just studying a lot, but a lot of just things I enjoy doing on top of studying, and the FaceTime stuff helps with the isolation feelings for sure.
Yeah, I would recommend just moving your body, even if it's not like exercise, just stretching more, and like there are free yoga apps I know that are like.
Are you making a sexual innuendo right now, Alan?
Oh no, I didn't mean to.
It's all right. I hear what you're saying.
Logan took it as fun.
Yeah. I second that, brother.
Like, yeah, I'm like more I don't know. I saw this quote at the YMCA that was like, work out because you love your body, not because you don't love your body or something like that. And I've really taken that to heart. And just like, I know my body needs to like move. So I'm just trying to like listen to it and make sure it gets what it needs.
Yeah, you are. All right, Jordan, we got a minute left. Why don't you tell us your suggestion?
Fired up. Download a video game just like a COD or a computer game. Get outside as much as you can. And look forward to football season, I guess.
Oh, God. 6 months from now. Well, hey, everyone, this was a pleasure. Sorry I'm not paying for the premium version of Zoom. You know, if you're listening, suggest this podcast to someone else so maybe I can afford the real one.
Thanks for having us, Logan.
Dude, this was a
Thank you.
pleasure.
Oh, dude,
Thank you, guys. All right, adios.
Bye, guys.
Bye.